Hey guys, I had a few minutes to kill before the guys show up to film our next episode. So I thought I'd show you something that I got a little while ago. And this is really a spectacular piece. I picked this up at Retro Rare probably about a year ago. I don't know why I've never shown it to you before. I just never had a chance. But what it is it's an EFX Collectibles Darth Vader helmet. So I'm going to get it out of the box here. I think you're really going to find this interesting. If I can get it out of the box. Okay. Okay. So the first thing you should know about this is a precision cast replica of the original Darth Vader helmet used on the, in A New Hope. And like I said, precision cast from the original helmet used in the film. So the detail on this is absolutely spectacular. Okay, again, it's not easy getting this out of the box. I'll do the best I can here. Now this was not cheap. When it first came out, it originally retailed for $300 US. It's not a toy, it's more of a display piece, but if you're in a costuming club like the 501st Legion or something, you can certainly use it for that as well. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so there it is. Now, this is a used piece. Someone came into Sandy's store selling it, so it looks like it's been displayed before. There's a bit of scuffing on the helmet there, so if I had to guess, it looks like somebody actually rested the helmet on its top, which is not a good idea. But other than that, it's in great condition, and I absolutely love it. It's got the metallic paint, so they've rendered it with respect to the painting like it looked in the original film as well. So this is basically just ready to wear. Let me take off the helmet here so you can see what it looks like on the inside. Whoa. Okay, so see this looks like on the inside. There's no helmet fans or anything, so if you're going to start wearing this, especially on a hot day, you may want to figure out some way to install some helmet fans on the inside. But it just just fits over your head there with the grill there is made out of steel. So it's very well constructed. Now, one thing you'll notice when you pull the helmet off its mooring here is the magnet inside the helmet is actually very, very strong. So you want to sort of be careful when you're reassembling it so you're not damaging it. And again, my opinion, never put the helmet down on the table upside down because it will scuff it eventually, and you want to avoid that if possible. But yeah, that's it. I got that on right. Let me see. No. There we go. But yeah, I love the detail. I think it looks absolutely spectacular. The only thing, if I have to say one thing about this that I'm not crazy about, is the fact that it doesn't come with a stand. When you're paying $300 US for a piece like this, you think at the very least they'd give you some kind of display stand. But no worry, I know guys that make them. I can eventually order one, and this will eventually have a really nice area in my house where I'll be able to display it for everyone to see. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I really need to show you here. Hope you like it. I think it's spectacular, and Sandy did give me a real nice deal on it. So one of those times I couldn't refuse. I had to buy it. Yeah, so that's it. The guys will be over here in a few minutes. So I'm going to go over there and get set up. Well, one other thing I want to mention to you, this probably won't interest everybody, but I think it was pretty interesting. This week I had a chance to attend it was kind of a classic cars convention here in Etobicoke. Just on the outskirts of Toronto, where a lot of the car enthusiasts get together and show off their hot rods and their classic cars. So, and it's a free event that happens a couple times each year. So I thought I'd show you a little bit of footage from that event. They had some really beautiful cars there, and you know, I don't know about the rest of you, but I kind of like the old 70s, 60s, 70s muscle cars. I myself used to have a Challenger, a 72 Challenger, and there was one or two of those at the show there. And my friend Mike used to have an old Camaro Z28. I think it was a 1980 Camaro Z28, so there's a couple of those there. So yeah, if you're a collector of cars or a car enthusiast, these shows happen a couple times each summer, and they are a lot of fun, and it's a good way you know, to kill an afternoon. You just go down there, walk around for an hour or two, and you know, see, every time you go there, it's a different set of cars. Sometimes the cars are similar because a lot of the same collectors are in the same shows. Sometimes they have multiple cars, so they bring them out, and fun little afternoon, free, and just down the street from where I live, which makes it really convenient. And yeah, something worth seeing. And I suppose in most cities they probably have a car collecting club where you know, so definitely something worth seeing. It's not all about comic books. We can, if you got money, you can be into collecting classic cars as well. One final thing, something newsworthy from the Fan Expo. I think this year is going to be kind of interesting at the Fan Expo because you got two actors showing up that I really like. Now, truth be told, most of the time, my feeling is the celebrities showing up to Fan Expo are borderline mediocre, and it's often just absolutely pathetic. You know, a lot of people that I'm just absolutely not interested in. But what's interesting this year is Carey Doughty and Gary Lockwood from 2001: A Space Odyssey are going to be at the Fan Expo. So I'm definitely going to get their autographs. I was actually at movieposters.com last week, and I was kind of hoping to pick up some kind of vintage movie poster from 2001, but I mean, the cheapest one they had there was $1,600. So if you run across a vintage 2001: A Space Odyssey poster, it's definitely worth picking it up because they are not cheap at all. So I mean, I really can't afford to put out, you know, $1,600 for an original poster. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to pick up a reprint of the original 2001 movie film poster and get them to sign that, unless I can somehow acquire maybe a lobby card, which are generally less expensive. Then I might grab that as well. But so far I've had no luck. And the interesting thing about Gary Lockwood is not only was he one of the main actors in 2001: A Space Odyssey, he was also in the second pilot for the original Star Trek series. And so yeah, it's very interesting that they're both going to be there. And for the first time in a while, there's actors there, you know, that are catering more towards the older generation like me. Because yeah, I mean, Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and stuff like that, it's nice, but to be honest, I'm passively interested in those series, and I really couldn't care less when those actors show up at a Fan Expo. But these two guys, absolutely, very, very excited, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to the Fan Expo. It's going to be an interesting weekend. It's always a fun weekend, regardless of the fact the celebrities are pathetic. We'll have a good time, and yeah, it's coming up at the end of the month, so starting to get ready for that as well. Anyways, that's all I have to show you. I'm gonna go set up there. Jose and Mike will be here soon, and yeah, we got some really, really cool stuff to show you. Now, this is a really, really fantastic find, and again, I'm a big fan of the Man-Thing, and wow, Jose, you got a #1 issue here.
Yeah, Man-Thing #1, Volume 1, from January 1974. So, why are we showing this book? Well, this actually completes a bit of a trilogy for me. We've been talking about this character the last couple episodes. The appeal, obviously, other than the great classic Frank Bruner cover of this book, is that it has the second appearance of who else but Howard the Duck.
Wow.
So we featured his Howard the Duck first issue to this first title series. We featured his first appearance in Adventure Interfere issue 19 with Man-Thing on the cover.
Yeah.
Man-Thing, after he left Adventure Interfere, went into here, Man-Thing #1 on this issue. So this book, for all those who went cuckoo when Guardians of the Galaxy put an Easter egg of Howard the Duck in the collector's vault, I guess this here is another key issue be on your radar. Continued from Adventures Interfere issue 19, like I said, a book we previously featured, which holds the first appearance of Howard the Duck. Man-Thing #1 holds the second appearance of Howard. Personally, I didn't care much for the Easter egg, and it did not get the hype for the character's first appearance after it. But believe it or not, there are fans of the character out there. The only thing I liked about the disastrous Howard the Duck flick was Leah Thompson, as I had a mad crush on her back in the day.
Oh, back in the 80s? Absolutely.
Yeah. Man-Thing #1 was a book I needed for the PC. It's one of those books that I have passed up on several occasions, but the character himself has a ton of room to grow, I think. He definitely could be on a future prospect for the Marvel Universe. This, I think, is a solid, VF plus 8.5 shape book, and I guess I got it at a fair price. $100 Canadian right now is about $75 US.
Yeah.
That being said, let us hope we all get a kind of a thing of amnesia there for that horrendous film that Lionsgate gave us in 2005. Ooh, that was a stinker.
That's for sure.
Anyway, so let's say that the 47th edition of the Overstreet Price Guide shows the $46, $86, and $125 US as the 8, 9, and 9.2 grade splits for this issue. I guess I'm right in there. They've got 86 for a 9.0. I paid 75 US equivalent for about an 8.5. I'm in there.
Very nice, Jose. And yeah, it is a nice book. 8.5. It seems reasonably fair to judge it at that grade. The only thing I'm seeing there is I'm seeing a little bit of spine roll. Obviously, you can see, especially with the
yes, 20 cent. You can see it right there. But other than that, it's a pretty tight book.
Yeah, and a little bit something going on in the top right corner there.
Yeah.
But other than that, Jose, a very nice find. And for $100, you didn't get not a bad price. Not a bad price at all.
Yeah, scratch it off the list.
Okay, next up we got a really nice copy of Detective Comics #480, and a very high grade copy of that.
Oh yeah, I give this about a 9.4. And I'd mentioned that dealers were dealing with the guy who was throwing down the 3 for 60s, because this actually was in the Batcave bin, and I've done some rounds.
This is another pickup from the Toronto Comic Book Show, is what you're saying.
From the comic book show, but it was originally in the Batcave bin.
Yeah.
And then it ended up on the table of the guy who was selling 3 for 60.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens a lot of the time is the dealers start trading amongst themselves.
Yeah, so they traded amongst themselves, and he slapped that down, and I knew it had a higher price tag than the $20 on it.
Yeah.
It did. The price tag was ripped off of it, but the Batcave phone number and text number, whatever, was on the back still.
For sure.
And it's like, the price just got even better, thanks.
Yeah.
So I snagged it, and it's a nice book. It's December 78. Jim Aparo, Tatcha Wood, and John Workman, who I haven't heard of, are credited for the cover. This is the last issue of Detective Comics to be fully edited by Julius Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
He was, you know him, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there's about 7 single appearances between the two stories of, one and dones as usual and stuff like that. But it's a cool cover. That guy looks neat. So.
78. So wow, it's almost 40 years old, and it looks like it just came off the comic rack yesterday.
And this is a high grade. So again, for $20 Canadian, 15 US.
For a detective, yeah, you're fine.
You're looking at a $40 book right there.
Fantastic book, Mike. Thanks for bringing it in. Okay, next up we got a really, really nice treat. We got a double feature from Jose here, and nothing like starting off with a bang, is it? We got Shanna the She-Devil #1, Jose. Wow, what a fantastic looking book.
So, is anybody into some Jungle Queen action here? Yeah.
You know it.
Let's start out with one of my faves. Yes, Shauna the She-Devil, issue number 1 from December of 1972. And a Jungle Queen is born. You don't have to tell me twice to pick up a Steranko book, man. Of course, you can see his signature. He always liked to sign his covers. You can see it there to the right of the Black Panther's claw. There's a little green triangle there. You can see type there. That's Steranko signing it. Yeah. Created by writer Carol Suling and penciler George Tuska, she made her first appearance in this issue and was ranked 53rd in the Comic Buyer's Guide's 100 Sexiest Women in Comics list. This is from my favorite Marvel house style of the early and mid 70s there, the 20 centers with the window pane covers. It's a Steranko cover to boot. Man, you can't get better than that for me. Yeah, yeah. She was introduced in one of a trio of Marvel comics aimed at a female audience in the early 70s, alongside titles Night Nurse and Claws of the Cat. The idea by editor-in-chief Stanley at the time was to create books that would have special appeal to grab a female audience as a way of expanding their Marvel franchise. Of course, it didn't work. Shanna ran for only 5 issues. Night Nurse and Claws of the Cat only ran for 4 issues each.
That's kind of a shame, eh?
Yeah, it's a nice. This book, I should say, is kind of like a throw-in. I picked up a couple of limited edition like posters from cons signed by Frank Cho. They're great. So I got this book along with them from, of course, Retro Rare at Sandy. So the latest 47th Over the Street for Shauna in the 8, 9, and 9.2 grade splits is $34, $60, and $85 US. I think this is something below an 8. I mean, if I'm being fair to it, it's got a kind of color-breaking crease in the bottom right corner there, but otherwise it's a pretty okay book. It's got some fading. It's a white cover, so you can see that. Grade-wise, I'd say it's about mid-grade 6, maybe 6.5 if you're being a little generous. So
Something
it's
like
okay.
that, yeah.
It's okay. As a throw-in deal, like I said, I'm not into it for much. It's a kind of like the cherry on top of that sundae that is so Frank Cho posters I'm picking up from Retro. So let's look at the Bronze Age, now the Golden Age stuff.
We're going to the Golden Age now.
We're going to a golden girl here, yes, and here we have another Jungle Queen. This is Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, issue number 14 from January of 1951 in the Hoodoo Beasts of Mozambique.
That's unbelievable.
Now, I can't believe I was going to say this, but I mean this. I mean, you know how much I love Steranko, man.
Yeah.
But like, wow. I mean, that's a good cover. This is a great cover.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, believe it, was the first female comic book character created with her own title, preceding Wonder Woman issue number 1, which is cover dated from December of 1941. Yeah, Sheena inspired a wealth of similar comic book Jungle Queens and was ranked, believe it or not, below 59th in the Comic Buyer's Guide's 100 Sexiest Women in Comics list. So she's ranked below Sheena. Below Shanna. That's a crime. Anyway, she was an orphan who grew up in the jungle, learning how to survive and thrive there. She possesses the ability to communicate with wild animals and is proficient in fighting with knives, spears, bows, and makeshift weapons. Now, her adventures mostly involved encounters with slave traders, evil white hunters, native Africans, and wild animals. Yeah, she first appeared stateside in Fiction House's Jumbo Comics number 1, and she subsequently, in every issue, she starred in from that series from September 1938 to April of 1953. And as well, this is her groundbreaking first issue spin-off thing. This issue run lasted 18 issues before being canceled. Yeah, it ran from spring 1942 to winter of 1952. Yeah, like I said, she's the first comic book female star to title star in a series. Yeah. Now, of course, to end this thing, in 1984, Columbia Pictures released Sheena, starring, of course, who else none other than Bond girl Tanya Roberts.
I remember it.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, she previously starred in 1982's B movie there. Remember Beastmaster?
I remember that one too.
Yeah, her name I think was Kiri in that. Yeah, Tanya Roberts. I mean, look at this cover. I mean, you don't have to ask me twice. Now, I guess the only blemish, I wouldn't call it quite a wooger. It's got some kind of date release kind of maybe, I don't know, something along those lines. You can see it on the hair there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's end this by saying that the 47th Overstreet breakdowns on this issue, and this is broken up, and it's between issues 11 and 15, so it's not specified specifically there, but in any case, at the 6, 8, 9, and 9.2 grades, the splits are 120, 244, 402, and $560 US.
Yeah, so not
Now,
a cheap book, that's for
Not
sure.
a cheap book, but it's a fantastic
Yeah.
Golden Age cover. I'm gonna get it slabbed. I will say, if you notice to the bottom left-hand corner there below the gorilla, you see the color of the red on that frond?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've looked at this image online, and of course, and though that color is supposed to be the same color for the fronds to the right of her, so of course it seems like this color, there's been some color fade on it, but you wouldn't notice it by looking if you didn't know that, or if you didn't know what the image should look like.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
taking that into account, other than, like I said, the date mark on her hair there, I would say it's a nice 6 looking copy, maybe a 6.5 if you're being
Oh, yeah.
generous.
As far as Golden Age books goes, that it's a very beautiful copy.
It's my favorite Golden Age cover. I'm glad I picked it up. I picked it up from the same local dealer, we'll say it, the Pendragon, the big P there,
Yeah.
in Tobacco here. It's a nice snag. 2 1/4, it's a fair price. I guess there's a premium for good gold covers with really good eye appeal, and this is a prime example of that.
Oh, for sure. We love the Golden Age covers, and I always get excited when we see one and you bring one in that's that old. But of course, buying the Golden Age comes at a price, and as you can see, the Pendragon price are $225. So, I mean, they're great to collect, but we just can't show them that often because they're so
They're
expensive.
definitely not cheap. But like I said, with that previous issue, that Fight Comics, again, I would say that was a good cover.
Yeah.
This is a great cover.
It is a fantastic, fantastic cover. Jose, thanks for bringing that in. That's really amazing.
Hoi hoi.
Okay, so next up we got Mike, Eagle-Eyed Mike, and he's got a really nice copy of, wow, Miss Marvel number 12. Wow, Mike, where'd you get this one from?
Oh, this is a Hagenland buy, for sure, I would think. I mean, I was blind, just tunnel vision, and just grabbing books left, right, and center. Deals galore. I mean, $7.50 paid. It's about a 2-bagger.
We're gonna be rich.
It's about an 8.5. Jim Starlin.
One of my favorites. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Starlin.
Oh, there's a lot of people that worked on Starlin, Alan Weiss, John Romita, Joe Rubenstein, and Danny Crispy.
Yeah, no. You know,
Cover modifications by Romita for some reason. So
Yeah, okay, so,
change ups.
you know, collective working its magic there as far as putting together the product. That Miss Marvel series had some great covers, man. I mean,
Most of them did, yeah.
when you go online and you just start checking out the covers, man, there's a lot of tasty covers in that run. I mean, and they're currently, you can get them in high grades for very little money. I mean, go for it. I mean, as a run, I guess you're just making another notch in your belt for the run, right?
Oh, that's exactly what I was going for.
No,
yeah,
of course,
you
yeah.
collect the whole series, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
I liked it. She's encased in a block of ice. You
Yeah,
can kind
man.
of say that's bondage in a sense. She can't move.
It's exactly the definition. And again, you get a nice modern bondage cover for like what, under $10. What can you go wrong? Cover appeal all day long.
Cool, Mike. Fantastic book. Thanks for bringing it in. Okay, Jose, now I'm really getting jealous because not only are you showing an X-Men, which is supposed to be the stick of the woods, you're also showing a key X-Men, and this is one that I don't have in my collection yet, and I still need to get.
Wow, how about that? Yeah, I score. Yeah, this is a great battle cover. My brother, my enemy. Yeah, X-Men, the all-new X-Men from February 1976. Now, actually, this book doesn't get respect, or it's a little bit under radar. And the latest Overstreet Guide, it's not noted, and it's lumped in with the previous issue, 96. Which,
Really?
Yeah, 96, 97. You know, it's not even differentiated or broken out. So why am I talking about this? I'm saying that this is really the first appearance of the character of Polaris.
Exactly.
And which actually what makes me reminds us when we're talking about that Steranko pickup and I said Polaris, and I guess I muddied the water, but so let's clarify because I did some digging, yeah. So when I started researching the character of Polaris, I thought it was going to be a pretty cut and dry affair, except it really wasn't.
No.
Now, first up in my investigation of X-Men issue number 49. a book that, in my opinion, gets listed way, way too often as the first appearance of Polaris, which is just not accurate.
Yeah.
Now, it is the first appearance of Lorna Dane, true, and it qualifies as a full appearance for Lorna as she appears throughout the issue. Now, Lorna is what's referred to as a latent mutant in issue 49, having her powers exist, but they have not yet developed or manifested themselves yet. Now, while she doesn't appear initially with green hair, it's revealed later in the issue that she does in fact have the trademark green hair. Like the TV show Gifted, she dyes it to fit in. Now, these are important distinctions to make since she doesn't exhibit any powers and is never referred to as Polaris in this issue. Now, let's move on to X-Men issue number 50. In that issue, the villain, Mesmero, whose first appearance is in that issue, straps Lorna into a machine which draws out her mutant powers, literally turning her into the mutant with the powers over magnetism we know and love as Polaris. But there's a catch. Never once in this entire 4-issue story arc spanning issues 49 to 52 is Lorna Dane ever referred to as Polaris. Not once. Believe me, I checked. No.
Did you check?
Yes, I did. So, just out of curiosity, I decided to jump down the rabbit hole and find out the first time that she has that code name. Oddly enough, as it turns out, Polaris is not Lorna's first code name. It's actually Magnetrix. Now, while that might not seem too important, it actually is, as is the fact that it's roughly 4 years before a character named Polaris ever exists in the pages of Marvel's X-Men comics. Yeah, so to make a very long story short, the first appearance of Polaris is in Uncanny X-Men issue number 97 right here, which is like 47 issues later. So, what does it all mean? Well, when in a time when people insist with their last dying breath that a book qualifies as a first appearance, I guess that really depends on the individual. There's a few ways to look at this if you're speculating on Lorna. Based on the TV show Gifted, both X-Men issues 49 and 50 have merit in their own right. Now, the real problem with issue 49 is that Lorna doesn't have her mutant powers yet. In issue 50, she has her using her abilities that she obtains. She's on the cover, and it is a Jim Steranko issue debut, meaning it will probably always have be more highly sought after in the market, whether it's the first appearance of Lorna Dane or not.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me, there really is no single book that has more merit than the other. Each is important, but truth be told, the way that Lorna's story unfolded over the years is a mess. Her story is scattered over little bits and pieces here and there over the course of like 47 issues or something. So, bottom lining it, for me, it's pretty simple. If you like the character, buy all 3. If you only care about the issue where she takes on the superhero name, then Uncanny X-Men issue number 97 right here might be sufficient. If you only care about her first appearance of Lorna Dane, then X-Men issue 49 might be all you really need, unless you're looking for Lorna's first cover appearance, in which case X-Men 50 with that classic Steranko cover is probably the one you're looking for. Now, I guess everybody should at this point realize that collectors probably view things slightly differently. Now, regardless of what many people will tell you, it's more about value or bragging rights than anything else.
Yeah.
I will say this though, in terms of labeling slabs, neither issues 49 or 50 should have the word Polaris anywhere on the label. They should be labeled with issue 49 as first appearance Lorna Dane and issue 50 as second appearance Lorna Dane first cover, and that should really be the end of it. To include Polaris on those labels unnecessarily adds to the confusion, and it's just blatantly incorrect.
Yeah.
Mainly because Polaris was not her first, last, and only codename. Sure, it's the codename she's now known as. However, with such a large gap and another codename in between, Lorna Dane and Polaris, it's very misleading using it on the labels.
Yeah.
Now, in conclusion, there's really no version of this argument where issue 49 is the first appearance of Polaris, no matter how you slice it. Again, it's like 47 issues or almost 4 years later before Polaris is ever even an actual thing. Issue 97 should have the first Polaris on the label, since Lorna Dane's new costume and persona is Polaris. That all happens for the first time in this issue right here. Now, there's a clear conflict of interest in our hobby when it comes to information, which is how misleading information becomes fact. And that's one of the reasons we kind of like doing this show. In this day and age, if you repeat something incorrectly enough times, it kind of becomes truth. Simple 1 or 2 word descriptions are inadequate with some characters, and Lorna Dane or Polaris is a very good case in this point.
That's for sure.
So let's end it by saying that the 47th latest Overstreet Guide breaks on the 8, 9, and 9.2 grades are $64, $132, and $200 US. Now, I paid up for this book. I still got a pretty good price. I think I bought it around grade. I would grade this again at about a VF and something above a VF book, and I'm cautiously saying it's a VF plus. So again, between an 8 and a 9, it's like 64 and 132. So roughly speaking, it's about $100 US book. I paid 120, so I'm okay.
For sure, for sure. Wow, that was pretty amazing, Jose. Thank you for that interesting and in-depth and long-winded
Breakdown on Polaris, first appearance.
Yeah. Nobody can say we're not thorough when we're discussing a book, and we just got about as thorough on X-Men 97 you could possibly get.
Oh, and by the way, it's a great cover.
Fantastic book, Jose. Thanks for bringing it in.
Okay, here, Mike's last book. Wow. He's got a history now in the last few episodes of showcasing really low books. Examples, recently, of course, I don't need to say and remind our viewers, that Amazing Spider-Man. Number 4, that Fantastic Four 36.
Yeah.
I mean, and now X-Men 21. You're going second year X-Men from 66. Wow.
No, eh?
Nice action cover. Talk.
So this is Toronto Comic Book Show. I got my Red Raven. Paul got his Frankenstein from that guy. I said, find that guy. Where is he? Sure enough, I hit him up again. I hit him up again. And sure enough, I dig through. What do I find? That.
Wow,
So,
nice.
What do we got here? From June 1966. Cover. Warner Roth. Dick Ayers. First Dominus.
Minor villain, yeah,
The
yeah.
minor villain has about 11 more appearances, but yeah, he's kind of a minor dude. And the reprint issue is in 72. That's why they always say, you get a dealer, he'll always say, start with 143 and work your way backwards. Because if you never find these or afford them, at least you have the story in the reprints, right?
Yeah.
So I have the reprint of Paul's Frankenstein one. You got the original from the same dealer. I'm going to keep hitting this guy up all the time.
Wow, good mojo there. Good thinking. So I think to finalize the thing on this book, I think the main thing that it's going to come down to with a minor key is the condition of the book.
Condition. Now,
Yeah.
Now from the outside, it looks a little higher, and I am kind of tough.
But it's a white cover, so it's gonna hide many sins. That's the good and bad part of it. From a paper quality standpoint, it can be tough to get really white covers. But the flip side of that, it's like a snowstorm. To give an analogy here, that last Game of Thrones episode with that undead polar bear, it's kind of like a blizzard, and you can barely see it. That white cover can hide many sins. Having said that, I think you're right about a 4, especially if you said that it had some mild staining on the back cover.
I think there's a little minus. I spend a lot of time. What I do, I don't just say, okay, I think this is this. I go to eBay and look at CGC copies, front and back covers,
Yeah.
in and around the same grade, and say, okay, you know what, this one has more issues, this one has less, and try to come up with an idea, you know, using CGC as a basis if there's enough available for sale out there to give you an idea. So I was back and forth looking at this in the light and and came up with a 4 I'm happy with that. It could
Generally,
be a
I would
4-5.
agree. Just
Could be a
having checked
4
out
or
only
5.
the cover, I'd probably think you're about in that ballpark.
Yeah, and you did check to make sure the entire book is there because you
Well,
got an astronomically good price on
That's
that book.
repackaged. He has the cheap packaging on that, so I had to Mylar. I've leafed through that. It smells great.
All there.
It's off white to white pages. The problem is the issues around there. Any spinal.
Yeah.
The ticks are a little too.
Yeah, but
deep
that's nothing
here,
to speak of compared to what you paid
and
for
a
it.
little staining on the back gives me a 4.
Yeah, drum roll, please. And fall for the very low price of.
$13.12
Yeah, you
US
stole it.
because that guy is just throwing them away,
Yeah.
and that's in that condition worth 45. And
We're gonna be rich.
breakdowns, oh my god, if you were getting like a 9.4, you'd be at 300. 9.0, 285. 8 would be 255. 7. You know, anyway,
Just
You
a
get
side
the
note,
idea.
those are the prices on the realm. You
on
went
the
by-
realm,
yeah.
on the realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some off stuff there too because like the last one I just showed.
Yeah. Like I'm a big fan of the early
$11
X-Men.
versus 30, right?
And this is a nice
Yeah.
action cover. My special good-looking dude there is that 50s vibe looking green robot, which apparently is only a one and done. But
Yeah.
zooming across the cover there, attacking the X-Men, it's a nice action cover.
I'd love to collect them all, and they're like it's very expensive, and that's just a beautiful book, Mike. And I really want to pick one up myself. Yeah.
Nice
Got it.
score.
Oh, and there's a minor first appearance, a minor villain.
Yeah, Dominus. We've mentioned them. Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you? Okay, cool. Anyways, that's fantastic, Mike. Great book. Thanks for bringing it in.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, that was one hell of a fantastic episode. And I think we're going to leave it there because I think we're getting close to 40 minutes on this episode. But yeah, so I hope you liked what you saw, guys. And if you did, leave a comment because we love reading them and we will respond back. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign out by showing you a little bit more footage from the Collectors Auto Show I was at last weekend. So, yeah, see you all next time.
The Death Star plans are not in the main computer.